Hello everyone, welcome to this video. Today I'm going to rank the head zombie warfare units. So there are a total of 49 units right now. 42 of them are humans, and while 7 of them are stationary units like generators and medkits. So yeah, let's start. The first one I'm going to rank is Empty Barrel. In my opinion, it's more on the average side, aka the C tier here, but I'll say that it can be lifted up to B and C, mid of B and C. The reason is that it can be both used for protecting weak range units and for killing enemies with the landing hits. So I'll say that it's more on the middle. It can be utilized very well, but at the same time, it's kind of situational on how good this is, as there are also other replacements like the red barrel and turrets. So yeah. Next one I'm going to rank is Redneck. In my opinion, Redneck is more on the B tier side. In my opinion, I like using empty barrel. I like using Redneck more than empty barrel, as the first of all, it's a unit. Yeah, it's really just that it's a very spammable unit compared to other units, and overall the stats is not bad. For like the first unit you get, is somehow not bad at all. So yeah, the next one I'm going to rank is Jailer. In my opinion, Jailer is actually pretty good. I would like to rank it a bit higher than Redneck, but the reason is I'll rank it at here, aka the middle of B and C, is the reason of that. It costs real money to even get the units, and that's very unfortunate. It would be cool. I'm a free to I don't pay money for this game, so that's why I don't have this unit, and the only way I have all the data is from the wiki and other YouTube videos I've seen about this game. So yeah, I wish this unit you can have some of the ways, like you can have some ways to get this unit for free, and that would be very cool. As from seeing all those videos, this unit seems pretty good, like for its stats and for its courage cost. So yeah. The next one I'll be ranking is Specops. Specops is a very special unit in my heart. I don't know why, but I just absolutely love this unit. No matter how bad it is, I just love using this guy. But still, even the most love I can give is just a B tier. He's just overall not one of the most efficient unit you can use in the battlefield. He's pretty good as he can come from the air. He's a paratrooper basically. He can just come down from anywhere, so you can basically spawn him anywhere from the arena. So that's pretty good. Next one I'm gonna be ranking is Saw. Oh, okay, I never liked Saw. Let me see him first. Out of all the cycles, I definitely think this one is one of the weakest one for a huge reason. It turns into a monk. It's not that bad. A monk zombie. It's not that bad. It's not a bad zombie. It's not a hard zombie to deal with. But the hardest thing is that it immediately turns into one, and that's a big problem. Like when it just rolls backwards, and it basically let this zombie have a huge chance of attacking your boss. And taking a chance out of your 3-star is just annoying on one hand, and the fact that it can maybe also kill some of the ranged units is just not worth it. I like to rank at E and F in the middle here, as I think that it's still a usable unit. I just don't think that it's effective or even good to use at all. Next one is another Psycho. Interestingly, this this is the Berserker. In my opinion, Berserker is pretty good. I don't know why. I like using it a lot. But Berserker for me, I feel like it's on the weaker side compared to units like Rednecks. So I would like to rank it as C and D. In the middle of C and D is nowhere near like the worst units. But the reason why I still rank it under most the average line is that it can still have the units near it to have fear. Like it can inflict fear to your own units. Like bruh. Why would you want that? And that's a very hard thing to use, especially if you want to use ranged units. So yeah. Next one I'm going to rank is Farmer. Overall, Farmer, I think you have one of the best stats in this game. I don't know how, but it's very good. The fact that he's a shotgunner and in such a in games for such early game is just very good. He can deal with basically a lot of zombies at once, especially the weak ones. And even if it's those tanky ones, he can still do a bit of damage with his shotgun. So I say yeah, Farmer is on the weaker side. I like to rank it here, just with Jailer. Next one is a very special one. It's Lester. Lester is basically farmer, but better in almost a lot of ways. Preferably, I would like to rank it like B and A in the middle. But I feel like I still want to do it justice for because I rank Redneck very low. So I would like to rank it a little bit like here. Like I would like to rank it middle of B and A. So it won't be A tier, but it's definitely not just a B tier unit. Lester is very usable. Next one I'm gonna rank is Builder. Interestingly, Builder I think that's a pretty good unit. For like also one of those early units you can get is pretty good. But the problem is there are units like Guard that can definitely replace him for just 5 more courage with such much better stats. Builder is just hard to use in late game as number one. There's not much reasons to use him at all. He's not as tanky as other units like Grenadier. Like I mean, at least Grenadier have the ability to throw a grenade, so that's very good. But like for Builder, I don't think there's much things going for him in the late game as there's not gonna be much like gunners in the late game. Like the Mauler levels are not even that late game. It's like in the early mid game. So this is why I don't think he'll be used much unless I mean after you reach those any bullet shooting enemies. So yeah, I think that the problem with Builder is that he's just not really viable in the late game anymore. So I'll put him in D tier. You may think that this is very low, but I mean it's D tier. D tier is this is I think that it can be good, but it's just not it can be replaced. So that's the D tier for me. It's just a little bit below average, not the worst unit. It's definitely not the worst unit. Next one, oh wow, Mechanic. In my opinion, Mechanic is one of those close to S tier, but it's definitely not S tier unit. What can he do? He can basically deal with a lot of weak units, especially with his level 14 ability. Like wow, the fact that he can just keep using his sledgehammer again and again, that's just very strong. Even just using it one time is very useful for that quick burst of damage. So yeah, that's my opinion on him. For Pepper, I don't know. Pepper to me is a very hard choice to make. For range units, she's definitely not high on the DPS side, but compared to units like Farmer, she can definitely keep herself alive. So I mean with her level 13 ability to buff like one unit, I mean that's pretty good. Normally without that ability, I would rank her like below like a D tier, but now with her ability, I would like to rank it like at least the same with Farmer. I'll say this at least the same with Farmer, but of course if I need to rank it, I would rank it C tier. She's pretty average, but the fact that she's definitely more survivable than units like Farmer, I just cannot keep her under middle B and C. So yeah. Next one I'm gonna rank is Medkit. I don't know. Medkit just have never been a useful item for me. It felt weak and basic, most of the time useless, because like when are you even gonna use medkits? Like even when you're healing, like you have there's a medic unit, and now there's even a paramedic which can revive and heal. So basically this medkit just becomes even more useless. So the biggest problem I have with medkit is that it's not really usable. Okay, let's say you have tanky units like Chopper, right? But like, okay, actually, you know what? Let me just do Chopper first, so I can explain it easier. Chopper is a definite F tier. Chopper, yes, is a tanky unit, but it's weak against bullets, weak against fire, and basically just very weak overall. His damage is, I guess, is pretty high for his swing, but like, it's useless when there are a lot of tanky units, or you know, just a lot of weak units. I mean, weak enemies in the future. Like even those weak enemies can definitely kill Chopper, especially since Chopper doesn't have that high of a high health pool at all. So yeah, now let me explain Medkit. How does Medkit? Why, in my opinion, Medkit is not a good unit. Medkit is not good for the reason is, yes, you can keep units alive. That's a good thing. But like the thing about Medkit is that like you need to place it down. If like you even time it run a little bit, well, your unit is dead, and you basically just wasted a lot of blood on that. So yeah, I don't think Medkit is that useful, but I can see why people use it, but I just don't think that it's a viable option, especially since there is both a medic and a paramedic unit now. So yeah, next one I'm gonna rank is Fire Barrel. Fire Barrel to me is weird because like I would definitely put it as S tier. Of course I don't want to, but like it's pretty much an S tier unit for me. The thing about Fire Barrel is that well, number one, you can block units. I mean block enemies. Number two, when it like comes down from the sky, it does like dropping damage. Number three, there's a fire damage. Number four, there's an explosion damage. And number five, you can click on it to explode the barrel. So yeah, it's just very useful as like you can basically kill a lot of enemies if you know. I mean, it can basically act as like a barrier to protect your bus while a lot of enemies are coming. It's like empty barrel, but way better. So yeah, this is why I put it S tier. Next one I'm going. Okay, next one I'm gonna rank is Firefighter. In my opinion, Firefighter is like Builder, but worse. Why? Because the only difference is that there's except that it cannot deal with bullets, any enemies with guns, but it can deal with enemies with poison, like that epidemiologists, like the very annoying ones where it inflicts poison, which you know Medkit will be useful for. So that's one of the use cases I ever use Medkit for, is for healing my units before they die from the poison. But the thing about Firefighter is that he's not a good unit. For 25 courage, he's relatively weak in my opinion. This is why I'm gonna put it at a middle of D&D. He's nowhere near garbage, but he is. I don't think he's even viable for like levels for like with those poison. I mean, as there are a lot of tanky units in the game right now, so yeah. Next one is gotta be Charlotte. To me, Charlotte feels it's just a very weird spot for me. I definitely love using Charlotte. It's one of my favorite units in the game. Like, come on, how can you not love Charlotte in this game? Like, I'm pretty sure everyone does. But the thing about Charlotte is that she's very bad. The reason is because you get at such a late game like time. Like when you get her, there are other units like Colors and Sonya that can definitely replace her. So there's no reason for you to even use her anymore. But I'll put her a little bit upper because like before all this like this star update, you can buy her and she's relatively cheap. But like even at those times, she's just not viable. Like she's not a good choice to use. Like yeah, she's pretty good on dealing with like one to like few zombies, but like she just cannot deal with a horde of zombies herself. She definitely needs like a little bit of support, no matter how good she is. So yeah, this is my opinion on that. Next one is definitely is Molotov. Okay, Molotov to me is a weird spot. I don't like Molotov. To me, it's similar to Charlotte and the Firefighter. If it's very situational. If it can definitely be used for very good a lot of scenarios, but at the same time, there's just a lot of scenarios that just force you to not be able to use a Molotov. Like the reason is Molotov number one is definitely used for burning enemies, and number two burning corpses, because you know after a while the corpses will turn into a zombie, like you know the human corpses, and of course you can burn reviving zombies. So yeah, that's the good thing I found about Molotov, and you know that's that's the reason why you use it. But the problem I have is that why wouldn't you just use a red barrel instead? Red barrel is just a little bit, in my opinion, a little bit more viable than Molotov. Actually, it's not really a little bit since I basically put an S in the middle of D&D tier, but it's just that Molotov is not good for its price of. Yeah, it's just not good. It's very expensive. Like you know, red barrel costs 9, while range cost of a Molotov is 15. Of course, it creates a bigger fire pool, but like, why would you even care about it at the time? It's like almost double the price already. Of course, it's not double the price, but like that's a lot for 15. You have to be very good to even use it, but it's not. Molotov is not even much better than the fire barrel, especially in levels. Like there are also levels like where it's raining, so basically, you know, this red barrel can still be used for like a barrier and you know the explosion. But Molotov is just unusable because like even if you drop it, the fire is not gonna spread, and the fire will be put out by the rain. So there are some levels which are not even usable with Molotov. So why would you even want this? I don't know. So yeah, okay, I'm gonna rank the next one now. So yeah, next one is Glenn. To me, Glenn is, I don't know. I don't know how to use Glenn. I mean, at least I don't know how to use Glenn. People use it well, I can definitely appreciate why it's very good. I would like to put it in the middle, but I would like to, but for me, I would definitely put it in a C tier. He's a pretty average unit. The thing about what's going for him is that after he dies, he can revive again and keep fighting. I like that about him, especially since if you're doing dealing with levels like Epidemiologist or Slob, even when he's poisoned, after he dies, he'll come back without the poison. So that's very useful with him. He can basically be one of those units that can deal with those poison enemies, which are, trust me, very annoying in those levels. So yeah, I think that Glenn is definitely very viable, but it's just that I think there are other units that are also in this game which can also be used just because Glenn is not good enough for certain levels. You know what? Because in my opinion, all units are usable in the game. It's just that it's harder to use some of them, which I'm gonna rank it lower, and some of them are better, which I'm gonna rank it higher. So in my opinion, Glenn is not a bad unit, but it's nothing good like Lester or Mechanic. So yeah, that's just my opinion. I'm very sorry to all the people who love using Glenn. I can definitely understand why you like him, cause he's not bad. For next one is Policeman Diaz. In my opinion, Diaz is one of those very tanky and good units. I'll place it at the same. Actually, I'll put it a little bit lower because he's definitely less viable in late game. But the thing about him is that's very good. Is because okay. First of all, he's a shotgunner. Shotgunners are always good. It has a bit of crowd control. So yeah, and one of the best thing about him is that he have melee resistance. He's just so good because like even when unlike other ranged units which can easily be killed with the melee resistance, a lot of zombies can hardly kill him. Like there are only zombies like epidemiologists which have poison, or like one of those Chinese zombies which have the suicide bomb. Like only those can kill him easily, and it's not really easy. So yeah, I think that he's very viable, especially in a lot of early to mid levels. I mean, he can easily be used. Like he's a very tanky shotgunner, so that's two very good points about him. In my opinion, the reason why I keep it under S or even the middle of an S, like Mechanic, is that there in mid game there are some, or actually a lot of levels with enemies which have armor, which means that guns and range units which have basically means range units will have a big problem dealing with them. So this is why I put him under here. But you know what? He can still be used to tank units. I mean enemies, so he's very good. Especially for there's one enemy in late game which is Insectoid, and I definitely use him to deal with it because he will basically not get killed by it, and he's still a viable unit. So yeah, I think that Policeman Diaz is a very good unit, and yeah. Next one is Generator. Generator to me is a very weird unit to place. On the one hand, I would definitely put it A tier, but on the other hand, I would put it like middle of D and E tier. So just for the sake of in my opinion, I'll put it in C tier. Is for me, Generator really depends on the playstyle. Like some people like to play the game a little bit slower, so definitely Generator is definitely preferable. But for but for people who want to beat the level quick, Generator is not as preferable because come on, it's a generator. The whole point of a generator is to place it down, it generates more income from the generator, and that's the whole point of the generator. So in my opinion, generator it definitely fits a lot of playstyles, and of course I like using generator a lot also. But but I see that it's just not the perfect unit in this game. So I think that it really depends on the playstyle for what units you buy anyway. So yeah. To me, I think it's viable, but but if you have to ask if I will buy it again, but I know what each unit does, I won't buy it because I don't think it really fits how I play this game. See, so yeah, but I can definitely see why Janitor is one of the best units because it's just so good. It generates income. Like how can you hate that? Next one is Grenadier. It's close to Mechanic, but I'll put it in 8 here. Actually, I want to put it similar to Lester because the problem with Grenadier I have is that he's definitely a viable unit. he throws grenades, and he's also, you know, bullet resistance with his bullet resistance vest. So yeah, he can definitely be used in a lot of levels. I'll say that he's quite tanky for a melee unit, while dealing, you know, just enough damage just to kill a enemy. But the problem I have for him is that he's not needed in a lot of levels. The thing about Grenadier is that he's definitely very good, but in a lot of levels, there's just a lot of playstyles in your PK game with, and it's just that Grenadier is just not one of them that you need, at least not anymore. So yeah, I think Grenadier is definitely still one of the good units. Like, he's still very viable to use and definitely above average unit. But it's just that I think that there are people who don't like playing with him. As number one, you definitely you need to time the unit. The thing is, he have this manual control grenade, so you definitely need to time the grenade. You need to experience this unit yourself before you can call it bad or good. So yeah, in my opinion, I like using him a lot. I use him in a lot of levels to even beat this game. But it's just that is he really one of the most important unit in the whole skirmish? Nope. I don't think he's needed for this level, all the levels. So yeah. Next one I have is Gunslinger. Gunslinger for me is in a weird spot. It's similar to Charlotte. The reason is, why is he here? There are definitely units that can replace him like Carlos or Sonya. So I do not see the reason for him being in this game at all. Especially when you get his level 3 ability. The thing about his ability is that he only increases mags. But the problem is, like, you need to keep him. Number one, you need to keep him alive, and he's a range unit, so good luck on that. And number two, he's not even high on DPS, so why do you even need him for more ammo? Like, people will say suppressing fire, right? But like, this is not suppressing fire if you can't even kill weak enemies that quickly. Like, he's more of a liability than a useful unit on the battlefield for me. So yeah, I think that he deserves to be in the middle of D and E tier, but he can still be used. He can definitely still be used. Next for me is nitrogen. The next one is nitrogen. For me, nitrogen is in a weird spot. The thing is that it can basically freeze like that certain part of the game, and that's very useful. You can definitely save your free stars at some time. But the thing is, number one, if you have a chance to kill the enemy, why don't you just kill him? Why are you even freezing him in the first place? You're just wasting your time there. And number two, nitrogen can still freeze your own units. So instead of just freezing the enemies, you can also freeze your own units. I mean, it would be good for against enemies that are charging attack against your range units. But in that case, you can still use stuff like empty barrel and red barrel to block off the path and buy more time for your range units to show off the enemy. So for me, nitrogen is in a weird spot of E. The reason is it's usable, but you don't need to use it because there are other items like red barrel and normal barrel, or even generator can be used just to block hits from the enemies. So yeah. Next one for me is private. The private knife man. What most people compare it to Mr. Redneck here. For me, I'll also put in the same tier as they're both very similar, but same tier. Actually, no. The reason I put him a little bit upper on the middle of B and A tier is that in my opinion, his ability, his luck is just very good. The fact that his luck can just make him keep kicking the enemies, just that knockback of attacking a lot of enemies at once, is very good for levels. Especially because since some of the levels in late game, it will just spawn you a lot. It will just spawn you a bunch of zombies at a time, just because the game wants to force you to use yourself, like the rage potions and those stuff. So you know what, private, I can definitely deal with some situations like that. Especially with those, because private have such a high luck stats. It's just insane for how it is. So yeah. That's my opinion on Mr. Private here. Next one I have is Sniper. Sniper for me is close to an F tier. It's definitely a middle of E and F tier for me, but if if it's worse, it can definitely be an F tier. Like if I want to, it's definitely not a good unit because like number one is slow, and the fact that there is a chance of missing the shot, and that's just very bad, especially since you're like a similar unit to Charlotte. So basically, she's like just a worse Charlotte in the levels because like yeah, she have better range, and I'm pretty sure she have better damage, but the problem is with the fire rate and the slow movement speed, and with the chance of missing shots, it's just not worth using her. It may cost you a 3 star, so you know, she can even get killed, and then there are more enemies on the screen. That's just not good. So for me, sniper is not a good unit, as there are also enemies like Insectoid in late game. So yeah, I don't think she's good at all. She can definitely be an F tier. So yeah. Next one I have is another very weird unit is Welder. For me, Welder is basically the most useless unit in this game. The reason is the Welder, first of all, it costs a lot to even get him to on the battlefield. I'm pretty sure actually yeah, from what I remember, yeah, it costs him 50 rage. So that's basically half of the the minigun that your boss gets. So number one, it's just not good. It's just not worth it. He can easily die, and it's just why would you even want him? Like all he does is attack the barrier to win the game. But in that case, you can also just get other tankier melee units, like easiest one, guard or grenadier can do the job as well, since they're more tanky. So they also will not die as easily as Welder. The biggest problem I have with Welder is that number one, it costs a lot to even use him, and number two, he's very weak. Therefore, like even if he gets onto the battlefield, there's a huge chance that he'll just die. So it's just not. So you basically just wasted 15 rage on him. So yeah. Next one I have is Carlos. For me, Carlos is one of the best units in this game. I have to say, it's definitely on the higher B and A tier. I'll put in the middle. Uh, Actually, I'll put in A tier because why? Carlos is definitely one of those units that you will use for DPS. Carlos, let me say something first. Carlos is a range unit, so he's very weak. So yeah, I have to get that out of the way first. But the thing about Carlos that I really like is that his DPS is insane. For a range unit, like while providing support for behind your melee units, it's just insane how you can have him just to deal a lot of damage to tanky enemies. Most of the time, I use him to deal with tanky enemies. So yeah, I mean that's really just the point of his unit. This unit is just very good overall. He have good stats and definitely usable. Next one I have is guard. For me, guard is in a weird spot. At the time you get him, it's basically in the mid game, I'll say. But the thing is, I don't think you need him much. I'll say that he has the similar problem to Builder, but it's just that I think that he's definitely better than Builder. I'll put him under like the average tier, but he's still very usable. He have bullet resistance. His overall stats are not bad. Like he's pretty tanky, pretty high damage, and of course his immense speed. Why is he so quick? Man, this car is insane. Like, how much time did he go to gym for, man? Like, stop. Like, he's just very quick. Overall, it's basically Builder, but if it's on drugs. So yeah, it's the reason why I put him under like the average line is that I don't use him much, and I mean I don't think I will ever use him much anyways. The reason is that his courage cost is 30. I don't know how to get that much, especially without generator. It's just very hard to get that amount of courage just for one melee units. Remember melee, because the thing about melee unit is that it's one of those sacrifice units that you get. So I don't know how you can get 30 courage without sacrificing for it. The time you used to even get him. Since I'll say that he can definitely live on the battlefield for at least a while, but it's definitely not got. In my opinion, it doesn't pay off for the time that you need to save to get him. But the reason why I put him not in D tier is that he's still definitely better than Builder. Builder, he's just cost 5 more than Builder, but I think that his stats makes up for it. So yeah. Next one I have is, of course, a medic. Medic to me is a weird spot. You know, when I say that I don't like medkits because they're medic and paramedic, the reason is that medic before I will from before I already didn't like her, but now I hear even I don't even use her even anymore because especially the reason with paramedic Nancy here. With paramedic here, that character can basically both revive units and heal units, so there's practically no reasons to use medic anymore. But for me, Medic is still not in the worst. It's still not in the worst character section. I'll put it in E, aka above Medkit, but under units like Gunslinger. For me, her healing doesn't really make up for how much she costs, and the problem I have with her is that her damage is not good for what, like, of everything she can pick as a like, bro, you you have a med kit, but like, why you pick such a bad gun on, you know, the battlefield? Like, I don't know why I will pick her in most of the situations. I think for me, she's like a support character that can definitely do her job well, but it's another character that is very situational for how good she will be. So for me, anything above F tier is definitely usable. So yeah. Next one I have is Flamethrower. For me, Flamethrower have a big problem. His health. Okay, I'll put first of all. Let me put it in between here. I think that is better than Mr. Medic here. I mean Miss Medic by a little bit. Of course, not by a lot though. The problem I have with Flamethrower is that it's like Molotov. I mean, it's basically the character version of Molotov. But the problem is that his low health pool. He he can easily die as he basically stands in the front lines. So I don't really know how to use him much as, you know, he can easily die. I don't think that's worth it for him much. So overall, I think that he's still definitely one of those usable units, but similar to like Charlotte or Firefighter, he just like it's very situational on when he will be good or when he will be like the best unit in the battlefield or the worst one. So yeah, this is why I put him between D and E. It's nowhere near the worst, but nowhere near the best at all. Next one I have is no, not this character. For me, this is Soldier. How can I rank Soldier above F tier? I don't know. For me, Soldier is one of those. It's one of those another very bad unit again. Soldier for me is like Chopper. It have the same problem with Chopper and same problem with another tanky unit, which I'm gonna mention later. But it's just that you don't need him to win this game. And number two, like he's just not even a good unit overall, especially since he does less damage than Chopper with long preparation time. So I don't know how I can use him much most of the time. As you know, he's basically he's in my opinion he's even worse than Chopper. But he definitely makes up for levels that have poison and fire, as he's immune to those. So yeah, that's the only good thing I can say about him. But no, to me he's just another F2 unit. That's just not worth it. Not worth it at all. Next one I have is Cap. Cap is in a weird spot for me. I feel like Cap is basically just very similar to Pepper as basically Pepper, but you know, just a bit different. But for me, I definitely like using Pepper more. For me, survivability is definitely hard. It's definitely lower than Pepper, and for me, I would definitely prefer using Glenn over Cap. Yes, his boost is very good, but like it's the same problem with units like Guard for me. It definitely relies on you having generator, or else if you waste damage courage or on him, it's just not worth it. Especially since like it takes a long time to, you know, get a unit out, and the fact that it costs 35. Remember, the cost is 35. It's just hard to get them as viable as other units that, you know, cost cheaper and may do more damage. But his boost is definitely not bad, and you know, similar to Pepper, I think that both of them have very similar, you know, stats. The problem is that it's harder to keep Cap alive, and he costs much more. He costs way you know, like way more courage, and therefore if you get him killed, you basically wasted more courage on Cap than you will waste on her. Next one I have is Sonya. Sonya for me is a similar spot to Carlos. The reason is, well, I'm gonna put both. So I'm gonna put both of them at A tier because both of them are very good units. For me, Sonya is in a weird spot because like Sonya is like Carlos, but except that the damage is. I would say that the damage is definitely on the Carlos side, but the survivability because since she can like punch enemies and kick enemies away from her, and it's similar to Pepper because like she can like dodge the hits a little bit. This is why I think that she's in the same tier as Carlos. Not much better, but not much worse. So yeah. Next one I have is this unit is hard to rank for me. It's Ranger. Ranger for me is in a weird spot. I would like to put it in the same area as Lester though. So perfect spot here. Middle of BNA. The reason is that I like using Ranger a lot. I don't know how, but I get to use him a lot, and he's just pretty viable most of the time. I don't know how, but I get him to. I get all shotgunners to work very well in this game, and overall I would say that his damage is good, and his fortune is pretty good. For me, some of the best reasons he's good is because he have knockback resist and fear resist, and that's very good, and especially his special, which can like knock back the enemy, and that's just one of the best things you can get for a unit. Like knocking enemies back, like just push them back, and that's very good. That's why I put Ranger. That's the reason why I put Ranger in between B and A. Without that ability, I think that he'll probably be around like similar to Glenn. It's still usable, but it's just that it's just basically a basic shotgunner that costs a lot. So yeah, the only reason why I put him up here is because of his very good ability, at least in my point of view. So yeah, the next one is Willy. For me, Willy is really only used to defeat the boss. Yeah, it's kind of awkward to say that since Willy is not a bad unit, but the problem is his courage cost of 40 makes him very hard to use in the game. But I mean, he does have a shield, and the stun gun definitely is not a bad choice. But for me, the reason why I'm gonna rank him very low is just that you're not gonna use him most of the early to mid game. I mean, what I mean by early to mid game is like when you replay the game with this character. Like what you would not use this character. The reason is that it costs a lot. The damage is low, and like all he have is his health, and he's also very slow. The problem I mostly have with him is that he's really mostly a support class, similar to Medic. He's only used to support other units like Colos for them to do damage while he's like here distracting them. The biggest reason why I use him is definitely for the boss. He does very well on that because he can definitely stun the boss. I don't know how he does it with a tiny stun gun, but he does it. He does the job, and I appreciate him for that. Next one I have is another weird one because it's Austin. Austin, of course, we all know that familiar mask and that name. Is definitely a character based off Payday 2 character. So yeah, for me, Austin is in a weird spot. The reason is one of the best units, while one of the worst units. The reason why? He was one of the worst because like he costs a lot. Trust me, for what he does, he's not really worth it. But the reason why I think he's also one of the best is because you get coins on kills. Like that's a lot of coins you can get, man. The reason why I would rank him low is because I'm gonna rank him by what if he doesn't get his kills. So like he costs 30 for rage, right? And his overall damage and health that's definitely not high. So yeah, and especially his prepare time of 30 seconds. That's just too long. That's very long. So unless you're grinding coins, he's basically a useless character that you're never gonna use again. So I'll put him E tier. But the reason why I would not put it lower than F tier, or I would not put in F tier or middle of E and F, is that in my opinion, he's still one of those usable units. It's just that I don't see a reason why you will use him over any other like higher ranked units, since he really is just a pistol wielding unit, and that's what it is. but the special thing about him is that he gives coins on kills. But if you're not even grinding coins, then there's basically no reason to use him, as he's not really that much better than other units. Next one I'm ranking is Swat. Weirdly, I've managed to use him somehow. I don't know how, but I'll put it similar to Cap. The reason is that it can definitely be one of those B tier units, but for me, it's less viable than I would expect it. The problem I have for him is that he's definitely his accuracy. I don't know how he misses his shots so much, since he's basically a trained like a SWAT team. He's basically a SWAT man. Like he's just missing his shot a lot. I don't see the reason how he does it, but he just does, and that makes him not a viable option for most of the time. Especially like the reason is that first of all, I would say the benefit he have is definitely his gun. He have quick fire rate with sometimes having incendiary rounds. So I mean it doesn't really make much of a difference, but hey, I mean it's still something that can be said that it's better than useless. But it's just that I don't think overall he's just not the best character for what you would expect from him. But he's still definitely usable for me. Okay, next one I have is one of the weirdest spot. Oh no, Night Soldier. Okay, I don't know why people would like this unit, or the reason is that you get him at late game. So in that case, like normally I would rank this similar to like a builder spot, but I'm gonna rank it lower because you get him at late game. There's just no reason to get him at late game. I would rank it E. It's kind of harsh, I guess, but like the reason is that there's really no reason to use him at all, since you basically already have builder. He may be a little bit better, but like he costs 40 for courage, and in that case you can also use guard. I mean, like there's just no reason to use him over other units. So yeah, but the only unit I would say that is the reason why he's good is because he has poison resist, so that's a good thing. Yeah, I mean that's the only reason why I even use him. So yeah, actually I don't know why I would put him in E tier. I just don't want to put him at F tier. I don't think he deserves that kind of like downgrade and stuff. But I just think that he's just not a viable choice anymore. You get him at late game, I don't think he's worth that price of a courage. So yeah, that's the reason. Next one I'm gonna rank is the definite disappointment, Carol. In my opinion, in PvP, she's definitely one of those very good units, especially that dash, that huge damage with that infinite range dash. It's just very good, and I definitely like using her a lot for that reason. But in PvE, she basically loses her very powerful perk and basically makes her very weak. I don't know why I don't know why they decide to do that. I mean, it definitely makes sense just to nerf her, because like she can basically teleport to the barrier very quickly if there's a zombie near it. So yeah, but the reason why I'm ranking her so low is just that it's very hard for her to even deal with weak zombies alone. So the fact that she only dashes every time she kills, so like after she kills one, if she's taking a long time to even like just pierce those weak enemies, she's not gonna dash much, and like even if she does, there's just no reason to use her over mechanic, since she doesn't have her infinite range anymore. She now have unlimited range in PvEs, and that's one of the big, in my opinion, it's a very big disappointment. But is she usable? Yeah, yes. In my opinion, out of all the F tier, she's definitely one of those usable F tier units. So yeah. Next one I have is Agents. To me, it's probably one of those another pretty useless units. The reason why I say that Agents is definitely not my favorite is that there's really no reason to use them, as okay, they cost 20 for courage, and I'll say that they have average health and fortune for range unit, but for damage that's very low. But I mean it can be expected, because since there are two units at once. But the problem for me is that I don't see why you would use it, since both of them they turn into tipsy when they're dead. Yeah, I mean they're really only available in a unit pack, so in my opinion, that makes them worse. and they're very slow. But the reason why I say that they're good is because they are instantly prepared at the beginning of a mission. I mean, that's all though. I mean, it also avoids a lot of things, like the zombies that are on the battlefield that are, stationary. But like, if that's the only good reason, then there's not really much reason to use them. So yeah, for me, I'll put them as them similar spots as D and E. I think that they're usable, similar to Willy, but I really think that it's just definitely depends on the level that you're using it on. For me, the next one is Queen. Queen for me is in a weird spot. For me, Queen is both a very good unit and with her dumb grenade launcher, man, it's just insane. But the fact that she's a psycho, in my opinion, makes her worse. Her special, is the grenade launcher. I mean, that's very good. But the thing, like, except for the grenade, there's not really much reasons to use her. And the thing about other cycles is that they cause rage, and that's just annoying. So you basically need to get another unit to get some kills first before you can even use her. For a special, which creates fire pools, in my opinion, is not really that useful. Similar to Molotov, it has the same problem as Molotov and Flamethrower. It's basically useless in those rainy levels again. The biggest problem I have with this unit is that it's just really weak against melee resistant units. So basically, she's, very weak against a lot of zombies, I say. And the thing about her is that she turns into a girl upon death, and girls are very quick, and I mean, girl zombie in this game are very quick, and that's just not a good thing. The fact that she also inspires fear to your other units, because she's a psycho, and the fact that her grenade can damage other units makes her very hard to use. I mean, that's the same problem as Grenadier, but like Grenadier costs courage while she costs rage, so yeah. I think that she's definitely similar to agents, but I would say that I use her more than agents. But the thing about it is that Willy, I definitely don't use her more than Willy. So I'll put it to the same spot as middle of D and E. Usable, but definitely not my top picks. Next one is Turbo. The weirdest thing is I like using turbos. I don't know how, but I managed to use her more than I expected. Turbo with her immune to range units, like attacks, and she's just pretty good. I don't know how. Like in the Mauler levels, she's basically beating it up. But the problem is that after those early I would say mid levels, she's basically another one of those light soldier useless levels. The I think the biggest thing going for her is definitely in PvP, but not PvE. But since this list, I'm only ranking them based on their PvE performance. I have to put a little bit below here. It's very harsh for her, as I mean, she's still a very good unit overall, but it's just that I don't think she's just any better than units and up here. But I mean, the thing is just that I think that it can also be changed up a bit about a Flamethrower, since Flamethrower is still kind of weak. I don't think Flamethrower is worth it anymore. But the reason why I place Flamethrower above Turbo is that I use Flamethrower more than Turbo. I don't know how sometimes. Like I had more. I mean, at least I had more fun using Flamethrower than I remember. I had more fun using with Turbo. Turbo is a very good unit, but it's just that Flamethrower is a very fun unit at the same time. So yeah. Next one I have is Turret, and of course, weirdest thing for me is that I love turrets in this game. I love this turret. I don't know how, but it's one of my favorite unit in this game. Without turret, I don't know what to do in this game. Like turret is I don't know how, but turret just saves me from almost every problem I have in this game. It's basically like a killing machine. It's just very effective at killing zombies. So yeah, I'm gonna put it in S tier. The next one I have is Cashier. Cashier is in a weird spot for me, as I don't really know where to place him. As I mean, Cashier is overall very good. I would say that it's definitely comparable to Mr. Redneck here, but for me, I didn't use him as much as Redneck for his since he costs 5 more. I like spammable units more, but overall, he's definitely a good unit. I mean, I would say that in my opinion, he's definitely one of those units that I use for grinding like environmental stuff instead of playing this game, like playing PvP and PvE. So yeah. I mean, this unit is very opinion based on where I want to put it. I just put in an average since I definitely see why you would definitely use them. I definitely also see why you won't use them. So yeah. Next one I have is a swap. Is another garbage again. Is Red Hood. Red Hood. Okay, if I have to choose between Red Hood, Chopper, and Soldier, I'll choose Soldier. Then I mean I'll choose Red Hood. I mean, Red Hood overall is one. I'll say that of all these three of the worst tanks, is definitely one of the best tanks because he can knock enemies back, and that's the only reason why I put him here. He's still a very useless unit, just like all the most like this two other types. Just they're barely usable, and it's just hard to use them at all. Next one I have is one of my favorite new units, Paramedic Nancy. I don't know how, but in my opinion, she's one of the best units in this game. She basically 5 units, so that's a very insane thing already. And the fact that she also heals units, that's a very big factor. Like if she doesn't heal, then of course like you need units like Medic to help. I mean, you would definitely bump her down, and Medic will definitely be a little bit higher because of that. But the reason is that she also heals. It just makes her very usable. The fact that she can revive and heal units is just good, and I mean she also have her melee attack. I mean at least she can still attack even if she's alone in this battlefield. So it's insane how good she is for me. So in my opinion, put her at A tier because I definitely think that she's one of those units that you can definitely use in PvE. So, but of course, it's still one of the best units, So yeah. Next one is Builder Abbey. For me, I don't know. Builder Abbey is hard to use in my opinion for PvE, as she's basically come off the bus, spam her Gatling gun or minigun. It really depends on like I'm not even sure what she's using. But from what I can see, from what I can tell from the pixel art, I would say that's a minigun. As I don't think she doesn't like load her guns that like how a Gatling gun loads. So I think that she's using a minigun from what I can see. For a minigun unit, I really expected more. Yeah, she's still good for me. Her minigun is still very good, but overall, for the cost of how you use Builder Abbey, it's similar to the other tanks like Red Hood and Chopper. They have the same fate as those tanks. She's hard to use for that reason. But the problem for her is that she also has very low health. Since after if she gets hit or after the ammo of the gun runs out, she'll go to her melee mode, and she's very weak. Like she's literally one of the worst melee in this game when she becomes melee. So I have to like bump her down to like middle of D&D for that. Like it's just hard to use her after her minigun. So yeah. That's the reason why I'm putting her down here. She's not the worst unit, but she's definitely not worth it for how much she costs with her coins. Like bro, that costs so much, and that's all she does. Not worth it in my opinion. Next, so next one is Roach. Roach for me is in a weird spot. Roach is for me. I'll say that it's definitely less spammable than units like Redneck, but overall, I would want to put it similar as Cashier, as I'll say that Roach and Cashier have similar choice in my heart. Both of them can definitely be used, but both of them doesn't require them to be a level. It doesn't require both of them at all. And I mean most level doesn't require and both of them to even be there. I would say that since they're redneck and private, this is why I put them under here. I would say that because both of them are just like similar to Cashier. Roach is just less spammable. I mean they do have higher stats, but it's just less spammable, and that's the biggest problem. And the biggest problem I have is Roach is that he doesn't have poison resistance. I'm just always confused on that. How? Like, you're also one of those members. Like, look at Swat and all of that, man. Like, why can you not resist poison? Especially since you also have the mask, man. There's no reason not to resist against it. So yeah, this is a weird thing I always find out about this game. I don't know how he doesn't, like, protect himself from the poison against slop and this stuff. So yeah. But overall, I think that he's a pretty average unit. Can definitely be used. So yeah. Last but not least, we have Lionheart. One of the newest units in this game, and of course I'll put him here. Similar to the tanks like Chopper and them. Now, in my opinion, he's pretty useless again. The reason why I put Lionheart down here is just that I don't think you need to use him at all. There's no reason to really use him, especially since when the time you get him in this game is basically at least gonna be mid game, since that's a lot of points you need to even buy him. And the biggest problem I have with him is that his ability is basically useless. His ability is, I would say, that is similar to like Molotov, but it's just that there's no reason to use his ability since it really doesn't do much damage at all. So overall, in the end, I think that the game developers try to develop something cool with Lionheart, but in my opinion, it fails to be most of them. It tries to be tanky like Chopper or Red Hood, while it also tries to be a gimmick character like Grenadier, while it also tries to be overall average melee unit like Cashier here or Roach here. But but because of balancing, basically all three of those aspects gets nerfed a little bit, and therefore he doesn't do good in any of those anymore compared to other units, and therefore it makes him. I think that it also makes him one of the worst units in this game. So yeah, this is my tier list. So it's really just my opinion. Dude, if you have a different tier list, or you have a different opinion on these units, I mean, definitely feel free to say it. I mean, like, we all have different opinions in this game, so, and I mean, that's what makes a good community. We all have different playstyles. So yeah. If you think I definitely ranked something wrong, I don't know how, but hey, say in the comments or something like that. It'll be cool to see how you guys like treat each unit differently, since we all have such different opinions. So anyways, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Smash like and subscribe. So yeah, see everyone.